Hello, hello. Hey, Facebook and YouTube. I'm getting ready for my Fertility Friday Q&A. We will be starting at 10 a.m. So welcome. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. I wanted to get started with you guys a little bit earlier because I know I get a lot of my questions through Instagram. So I wanted to make sure you got a chance to get your comments in, and there's kind of a little bit of delay on YouTube and Facebook. So good morning. Nice to see ya. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to be talking about all things fertility. It's a Fertility Friday Q&A. So it's going to be super random. Hopefully helpful and informative. But I'll just kind of wait a second for you guys to get on here. And you can start asking away and we'll get going. All right. All right. Okay. So good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fertility Friday Q&A. My name is Hethir Rodriguez. I am a natural fertility specialist. Mostly, though, I'm an herbalist and nutritionist, and I'm extremely excited to talk about natural health and empower others to use natural health in their lives, to change their lives, to improve their lives, whatever it is that they want to do, become healthier. That's what I am all about. Today, we're going to be just answering random natural fertility questions. So you can put your questions in the comments. I have a few to start with because I know everything's a little bit delayed with questions coming in. But someone's asking me, good morning, how am I doing? I am doing fantastic. I just did a couple sessions of oil tapping. I have a workshop that I'm doing. So I was filming for that workshop, teaching others how to use the tool of oil tapping to help work through and process different emotions, especially as it pertains to stress, which everyone is experiencing now, and fertility. So that was a really awesome way to start my day. Okay, so I had a bunch of questions come in. If you guys shared your questions ahead of time, I will be answering those. They may not make it to this video, but they will be answered. So keep a lookout. So someone was asking, what about castor oils and endometriosis, or castor oil packs and endometriosis? I absolutely love castor oil packs, but when it comes to endometriosis, it's going to be person by person to see how comfortable they feel when they're doing them. For some, the increase in circulation is uncomfortable. The heat can be uncomfortable. For others, it's very soothing. So it's actually something you would just need to kind of test out and see for yourself how it makes you feel. Another great question I got was, how soon can someone see the benefits of reducing simple sugars from the diet and watching the blood sugar? So this is such a great question because there's kind of two answers to it. When you're looking at your diet and you're really aware of helping to keep a healthy, balanced diet, you aren't eating added sugars. You're not eating sugars that are, come on, brain, processed sugars that are added to the diet, not things naturally found in fruits and things like that. That's going to be beneficial, but also being aware of having proteins and fats and fiber with each meal, each snack is a big part of that as well, because it's going to just help blood sugar balance overall. So those effects can actually be pretty immediate as it pertains to the blood sugar. Now, the effects on the hormonal cycle that has been affected by excess circulating insulin and the damage caused from that actually will take some time to get back on track, just like anything hormonal. It takes a little bit to get back to balance because there's so many different factors involved in that cascade of hormones. So that could take a couple of months, but you should see little changes each month. Like your cycle might be, if you had a really, really long cycle, might be getting shorter. If you weren't getting your period, maybe you're getting your period now. It's going to be different for everybody, but kind of look for different signs and different changes in the areas that you saw your body was speaking to you that there was imbalance, and kind of look to those areas to see the changes for that. But you should start seeing some changes. You should also just feel better, have more energy, those different types of things. But all of it takes time. Low progesterone issues, how to resolve. Corleen, so there's a couple different steps to take for that. You could go ahead and message me, but we're going to support the body to have healthy hormonal balance and hormonal levels. So I don't like to isolate specific hormones. I like to work on overall balance because they all work together. So even if one is low, that could mean one is high, and just balance and healthy hormonal health overall is what is needed. So that's kind of the approach that I take as a natural practitioner because I use natural therapies, and we're always looking for root cause and helping to support the body towards health overall. So we are supporting the endocrine system, we're supporting healthy estrogen levels, healthy progesterone levels, healthy nutrition, because there's a lot of nutrients and things that are needed for healthy hormone production. So it is a really I call it like the 5 pillars. It is a lifestyle support, but the great news is that sets you up for health. That sets you up for healthy baby, healthy pregnancy. So I know you wanted a lot more direct answer than that, but we can talk about more specifics. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. This is a natural fertility Q&A. The next question I got was, any suggestions for supporting male fertility? So fertility issues happen with men just as frequently as they happen with women. I talk about women 90% of the time because that's who reaches out. That's who is here asking questions today. But fertility issues happen with men just as frequently. It's just that their systems are a lot simpler. The list of things, the list of imbalances they can experience is much shorter than what women can experience. So when it comes to men, we're doing a lot of the same actions. We want to support overall health because we want healthy circulation. Healthy circulation is a big thing for men. If they don't have healthy circulation, a lot of stuff doesn't work, if you know what I mean. Also making sure they're eating healthy diets so that they have healthy fat levels in their blood. So circulation, again, is working well. And then hormonal balance is a thing for men too. Men can have hormonal issues. Men can have low testosterone. They can have high estrogen. There's all kinds of things that can happen with men. So it does need to be a lifestyle factor. Like I had someone that reached out to me a couple of days ago, and basically her husband was just wanting a specific pill. He didn't want to stop smoking. He didn't want to change lifestyle, those different things. And I was like, well, I don't have an answer for that. All of these are lifestyle changes, but what happens is because your body is healthy, then you're producing healthy levels of hormones. You're producing healthy sperm because you have the minerals, you have the different nutrients and so on. So there's definitely things men can do. Supporting liver health is always a big part of hormonal health. That's one of the places I like to start. Also making sure that they are eating lots of nutrients. Men need a lot of minerals. One of the main things is essential fatty acids and minerals when it comes to healthy sperm production. Also having hormonal balance, like I was talking about. So everyone's like super focused on how do I increase testosterone? And yes, that's part of it, but it's also having the ingredients to make it and to make sure that excess estrogens that are coming in from our environment, the way that they affect us, how I talk a lot about estrogen dominance, it affects men too. So making sure that they're not being exposed to these different chemicals, which is putting their testosterone off. Also supporting the endocrine system with herbs and diet is super supportive. And what else? And then self-care for them, exercising, getting plenty of rest. Those types of things are going to be important. So there's a lot of different things that men can try. I'm not going to go into everything that's specific because it's different for each person depending on how the imbalance is showing up for them. But there's just as many things that men can try. And sperm health is as important as egg health. We talk a lot about egg health for women, same for men. It's extremely important to help protect that DNA, have the healthiest sperm possible. And those steps are actually parallel. Is it possible for overweight women to get pregnant in their 40s? What are the risks? So Evelyn, it just kind of depends on, it's not that like women who are overweight can't get pregnant. That's not, it's more like, is being overweight, is there an insulin resistance issue happening? Is there blood sugar issues happening? Are there hormonal issues happening? So that's kind of more how I like to look at it. Not like, oh, you're overweight, you can't get pregnant. That doesn't, that's not a direct correlation. It's more like, what are the other areas of your health? Like, what does your cycle look like? What does your period look like? What does your diet look like? Those types of things are more important than a specific weight to me because it's going to tell me a lot more. So starting to really keep track of your cycle, if you're not fertility charting, starting to basal temperature chart. My brain is not working today. My tea must have been a dupe. But starting to track your cycle so that you know more about it. Are you ovulating or not? How long is the second half of your cycle after ovulation, your luteal phase? How long is your follicular phase? All of those things will tell us so much about your body, and then that will help to know which steps to take. And then once you start taking those steps, you'll see changes in those areas. So is it working? Because so many people, when they use natural therapies, they're like, I can't tell if it's working. I don't know what's supposed to be happening. Is something supposed to fall out? Is something supposed to grow? It's not that dramatic. But if you're charting, while you're working on your hormonal health, you'll see changes in those different places, which is so cool. So that would be the first thing. If you're already doing that type of information is really helpful in knowing what direction to go to next. And also, there are healthy ways to begin the weight loss process that will come from the same preparation you're doing to help prepare for healthy pregnancy. So including the important 5, I'll do a separate video on the important 5. This is a really big topic I've been talking about for years. So I want to make a separate video for that so I can just keep pointing people to that, because I bring it up in almost every conversation. But that's a way to make sure you're just very easily adding a lot of nutrients to your diet. But then the specifics of that is different for each person, depending on what your cycle is like, how these things are showing up in your life. But yeah, if you're ovulating, you know, and we're going to support egg health, all those different things. If you haven't hit menopause, I'm not giving up. What does it mean when you see excessive stretchy egg white cervical mucus? Does that mean I'm ovulating or about to ovulate? It's been a while. I haven't seen this kind of. So for you, it's when you're doing your cervical mucus, it's kind of keeping track of what your pattern is. So there's a couple different types of cervical mucus. The kind that the sperm moves through is actually going to be more of a thinner mucus. Once it starts getting thicker, then you've already ovulated and the body's making it so the sperm cannot swim upwards. So that's not necessarily going to tell you whether or not you're ovulating. It's a sign of your fertile time. It's kind of a sign what's happening hormonally and when the hormonal transition happens, but there is no way to confirm ovulation just by cervical mucus. What I look for is that temperature dip that occurs when ovulation occurs, and then the rise from progesterone starting to be released. I'd rather confirm, and cervical mucus is a great part of that charting sign, but I know a lot of people just go by that, and they go by just like the feeling in their body, like the feeling of achiness. But I personally just want to confirm because I do not want to waste time. And that could be something we could be working on. So a miniature rant there. I haven't seen egg white cervical mucus and I'm having my period regularly. Am I still ovulating? Just please temperature chart and then we will know for sure. I'm 40 and trying to get pregnant. What should I do? Megan, start fertility charting. I know you guys are going to be like, this is so annoying. Again, start fertility charting so you know where you're at. You know what your cycle's like. Pay attention to your period. Pay attention to the different parts of your cycle. I just did a class on this called hormonal health, and I go into great detail on what the different areas of your cycle, what to look for, and then what that information means and what it can tell you about your hormonal health. If you want a link to that replay of that class, let me know. I can send it to you through DM, but that's going to be a really helpful place to start. And then starting with the 5 pillars. So you're making sure to look at your overall health. So you're taking care of your nutrients, you're nourishing your body, you're helping your liver gently in some way every single day to help with its process of hormone metabolism. You're balancing your hormones or supporting your hormonal health in one way or another. This is unique for each person. And then you're protecting your body from external xenoestrogens, external chemicals that mimic hormones in the body. It can cause a lot of hormonal disturbance. And then you're also doing self-care. So things to help increase circulation, things to reduce stress, such as self-fertility massage, castor oil packs, exercise, meditation, oil tapping. All of those things come together. And then every kind of base is being taken care of. And you're also helping to support your body specifically with each of those areas. So it's a really big topic, but making sure you have something in each of those areas. And something that's specific to you, depending on the information you got from your period, is kind of where to start. And then personally, for anyone over 35, every woman, every man, I'm always looking at helping to support egg health, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, all those types of things, just so that you're setting yourself up the best that you can and doing what you can. What is temperature charting? So there's something called fertility chart. I call it all kinds of things, so it's probably pretty confusing. So basically, what it is you take your temperature every single day at the same time and you put it on a chart. There's apps for it. You can print off free charts off the internet. You can go to a website called Fertility Friend. They will educate you galore on how to do this. It's fertilityfriend.com. And what this does is you take your temperature every single day at the same time. And when you start seeing a pattern over doing this for a couple of months, you're going to start learning a lot about your cycle and what's happening with your monthly cycle. So that's basically what it is. And from that information, we can pull from that and know a lot more what's going on and how to support yourself. Sorry, my throat. I've been talking so much lately that my throat is starting to hurt. Okay. How can I fix hormonal imbalance? So hormonal imbalance is a very broad statement. There are so many ways that hormonal imbalance can show up in someone's life. But basically how you fix that is you just support the body back to balance. So you're going to want to make sure, first of all, that your nutrition is on par. Not saying you have to be perfect, but if you are deficient in certain nutrients, that can affect your period, that can affect ovulation, it can affect uterine lining, it can affect so many different areas. So I always start with nutrition because that is needed for producing hormones, uterine lining, so on. So that's like step one. Supporting the liver is a major part of that. And then it's different for each person, Evelyn. So knowing more about your cycle and specifically what's happening is how to, more focus on supporting it. Every person is different. So if someone's experiencing low estrogen, the steps might be a little bit different than if they're experiencing high estrogen, or if they're needing to support healthy prolactin levels, that might be a little bit different. So it's different for each person, but knowing more about your cycle is the beginning steps to that, in addition to all those lifestyle factors. And I mean, to really simplify this, a lot of lifestyle factors are just becoming healthier. Like becoming healthier before you get pregnant is going to be ideal. Miss Sun, I quit coffee. Hearts to you, girl. I quit coffee too. I'm down to black tea, but yeah. It doesn't work someday. It's fine. I'm not going back to coffee. Coffee made me I'm too sensitive. It made me way too So food will secure proper menstrual and fertility. Well, food is the foundation. I don't know. I can't say for everybody that just changing your diet, everything will fall back into place. That's not necessarily going to happen for everyone or in the time frame they would like, but that is a major part of it and needs to be part of the plan. What if you have a short luteal phase? So short luteal phase definitely points to needing to support hormone levels. So helping to build up hormone levels. So there would be a lot of different ways to go about that you can do naturally. Once you have the diet down, then you can move towards something such as drop cycle method, or there's different herbs that help with that. But there's a lot of things happening with short luteal phase. And it's not always short luteal phase. So say you're tracking your cycle and you have a 23-day cycle. If you aren't tracking, you don't know if the short part is during your follicular phase or during the luteal phase. And that's actually really important because if it's during the first half, I was speaking with someone last week and her short time was in the first half of her cycle. So what happens in the first half of your cycle is your estrogen is rising and you're building uterine lining and your follicles are maturing. Those are extremely important functions. They're all important. But if that's shortened, then that means there may not be enough time for those follicles to mature and ovulation could occur early or not occur. Uterine lining could possibly not have enough time to build up, all kinds of things. So it's actually really important. That's why I love fertility charting, because it will tell you, because it's not always the luteal phase that's short. And you might be charting. I'm just giving this as examples so that, to be helpful, but it's not always that second half that's short. So that's why I like charting, because we know where that short area is lying. If it's both, then obviously we have to build up all the hormones. If it is short luteal phase, then that means that there's not enough progesterone to keep the uterine lining maintained. So there might be spotting with that, or sometimes that's happening if ovulation is not occurring and then progesterone is not being released. So there's just a lot of information and a lot of ways that can present itself. So when you start taking these different steps, what you're going to be looking for is for that to get a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and some of those things to change. So that's why it's really important to really know your body and kind of know your different signs so that you can tell what's happening. What is there for breast health? Broad topic. I don't know. I'd have to know more what you're referring to. What is this phase? Luteal phase and others. So follicular phase is the first half of your cycle. So from your period until ovulation occurs is when your follicles are starting to mature. There's two worlds occurring side by side during your cycle. There's the world that's happening in your uterus, and there's the world that's happening in your ovaries. So in your uterus, when you have your period, you're shedding that lining for however many days, 3, 5, 7, whatever days, right? At the same time, your estrogen is beginning to slowly rise, and it's having an effect on your ovaries and preparing the follicles for maturing, for ovulation to occur, and all of that. Once your period is done, that rise in estrogen is also causing the uterine lining to grow. You need lots of nutrients for that to be happening and for that to be continuing. Whoops. Let's just go through some filters here for a second because I tapped my screen. And then once ovulation occurs, that's like its own little event, very short, very specific, very important. And then after that is the luteal phase. And that's when you have your corpus luteum, and it makes progesterone after ovulation has occurred. And that progesterone starts to rise. It slowly increases your temperature for incubation of your embryo. I just love that. And then it also maintains the lining of the uterus. So lining no longer is necessarily growing. It's just managing it, and it's just waiting for implantation of that embryo to occur. So that needs to be long enough. That period of time needs to be long enough to allow that long journey for the sperm to go up to fertilize the egg, and then an embryo to come down and to implant. So day 10, 11, 12, like it's kind of during that last little window that's going to be happening. And once that embryo implants, a whole other chemical process begins. If it does not, then prostaglandins are released, and those start making the uterus contract and the uterine lining to release. And then the whole cycle, miraculous cycle, starts all over again. What does CoQ10 do for you? So CoQ10 is a part of every single cell. It's part of the energy center of a cell. So as we age, we have less CoQ10. So the cells do not have as much energy for functioning. So when you are consuming CoQ10, studies have shown that it does help support egg quality. It's going to help support the energy of every single egg in your body. But your eggs, your ovum, are the largest cells of your body. So that's part of why you do it, because it's going to help them to function better. And CoQ10 is a type of antioxidant, but every single antioxidant has a different action in the body. So it's not that I'm taking an antioxidant, I'm all set. You actually want to be using multiple specific types of antioxidants for different actions of protection. What can I do for long cycles? 34 to 38 days. So just because your cycle is not 28 days does not mean that it is not a healthy length of cycle. So just so you know, our goal is not necessarily to have 28-day cycle. If you are ovulating, so there's factors, Heather. So you want to know if you're ovulating. What is your period like? What is your cycle like? All those types of things are more important in my mind than the length. Now, if you weren't having periods, they were very long, longer than 40 something days. Now there's some other factors at play there, but just because it's 34, 38, I'd have a lot more questions for you. More so than like the specific dates. Like that's a little bit of information that's needed, but there's so many other details that would be more important, because some people have 34, day cycles. Some people have longer cycles. If they're ovulating, if everything else is in place, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, if some of those other factors, are happening, like you have really heavy cycles, you have lots of cramps, you have PMS, you have spotting, you're not ovulating, whatever, all those different things. Yeah, then we can take a look at that, but it wouldn't be like, oh, your cycle's not 28 days. Let's do all this stuff. Not necessarily. All right. I'm going to answer just a couple more questions and then hop off here. I'm trying to keep these short. My period is only 2 days. What can I do to improve it? Okay, that's a great question. So thanks for the hearts. I don't know who's hearting up. When a cycle is really short, what I'd want to do personally, if I was experiencing that, is I'd want to build up my system. I'd want to make sure I'm eating enough nutrients to build healthy uterine lining. I'd want to make sure I'm eating enough nutrients so that I have healthy levels of hormones. So hormonal health is going to be important, as well as your nutrition and circulation. So kind of bringing all those factors in together. There's a lot of more specific steps to take, but again, it's going to depend on so many personal factors that are happening for you, but there's a lot of lifestyle things you can do to help support that. Go ahead and reach out. I can send you links to more specific things. Thank you for sharing your videos and help. May I ask, what do I think of intermittent fasting and keto and trying to conceive? Have endometriosis, body mass index 29. I need to lower it for quality for IVF. So they're saying you have to lose weight in order to qualify for their IVF. So honestly, here's my take on IVF and keto. I know there's a lot of you who love, or IVF, intermittent fasting and keto. I know there's a lot of you who love it, and I know there's a lot of you who have had awesome weight loss results from it. Aside from that, I'm only speaking to it as it pertains to fertility. I personally do not suggest keto. It's not one of the things I'd be like, hey, let's do keto for this reason. It cuts out a lot of food groups, and a lot of the things that I focus on is helping to nourish the body and flood the body with nutrients as much as possible. And there are foods like fruits. There are foods like, you eat vegetables on keto, but that are really important for the antioxidant quality and the antioxidant concentration. What I also find, at least from the people in my life who eat keto, is they start out really good. They're like, yeah, I eat tons of vegetables and meat and this and healthy fats. But then it ends up being that they're making like breads out of cheese. They're eating bacon every meal. You know, it just kind of goes downhill for some people. So for me, I don't find it to be a healthy diet for flooding the body for nutrients, anti-inflammatory compounds, all those things. I know there's totally other benefits to keto, some of the reasons it was originated for, but that's my take on it. Intermittent fasting, I also have found that for some women, it can cause hormonal imbalance because of the blood sugar issue. So you just have to see how you do with it. But I've seen just too much. Like when I personally did it, I can't do it because it messes with my blood sugar too much. I find I do much better with just eating 3 main meals, 2 snacks, protein, fats, you know, like that balance with each meal or snack. And that does wonders for my blood sugar. But with all that said, every person is different. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition. That's just what my opinion is on it. I don't think, you know, it's necessary or sustainable for a lot of people long term. That's my 2 cents. There we go. Now, for helping to lose weight in preparation for IVF, if you focus on the important 5, if you focus on a whole food diet, it really can happen pretty simply. It's just that transition time, so that of 2 to 3 weeks, so that you actually enjoy the taste of these new foods. When I do castor oil packs, I get images in my thoughts of babies, maybe mine to come. Oh, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing to do while you're resting and doing your castor oil packs. Hey, Astrid, you're in South Africa. Reach out. I know I have a way that you can get different natural products down there. Yay, I'm so glad that you found that helpful. Good. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry I couldn't ask all your questions. If your question did not get answered, feel free to reach out, direct message. If I skip over your question, know that it's because it's just too complex for me to do during a live, because there's so many questions I would need to ask you. I don't want to just be like, here, take this one thing, because that's just not the reality of it. So if I did miss your question, just reach out. Happy to help. How do you do castor oil packs? I have a video on Instagram on castor oil packs you can check out. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.